So this is the code for my application. So we have this consumer key and the redirect import from the credentials.json. The consumer key and the redirect URI, the variable had to match to the what's in the credential, or else it will be undefined. This is the port that we are listening in. So when the user goes into our website localhost 3000, which is the port, it's gonna send a request to us, which um localhost 3000 is directly going to the root, which will which we're gonna get a form from HTML, the form for users, and this is what it looks like. And in the form, I actually have a condition, so to prevent any of the field left blank. So this is the code for the form. This is the year. They can only put between 1980 and 2021, or else it's not going to go like this. And when they press submit, you can't submit. And for this, because when we query for any list, the field is had to be specific with the spelling. So it's better to have it left as radio. There's only four options, and by default this is check, the same thing, to prevent it from being blank or empty. So once the user submit the form, it will go to this any list of our website. So it's gonna send another request, but with the information of the form. So it will not go to this one, but it will go to this one. It says request URL start with, which is this part here. You can see that the user input is year and the spring. So if for some reason they bypass the condition, we're gonna have a 404. If for some reason they manage to bypass, else we're gonna save the task and we're gonna get the request token. So to get the request token, if we haven't gotten the token already, then we're going to do the else. But if we already have the token, then we just have to complete the task. So for Insomnia, this is the URL, this is the method, and this is the header, and this is the form that I showed you before in Insomnia. And this token is the callback, and we have to keep on passing down the rest so that we can redirect the user, or else we won't be able to redirect. And this happens for most of the case that I have rest passed down. And so the form goes to the .end, where everything else is going to the front. So in the process, we're gonna save the code in the token, and then we're gonna take the user to the redirection page, and this gonna be a 302 redirect. So the redirect URL is basically with the slash receive code. So when the user goes to the redirect URL, this function gonna get called immediately, which takes us to the access token. So the request is basically the same, except that the first request we had the consumer key and redirect URL. The access token request we had a consumer key and the code, which is the request token that we have before. And then we're gonna go to process 2. And this does the same thing. We're gonna push into the array the access token and the username. The username is mostly for when there's multiple users, but for our case, we don't really have to worry about this. So I kept it separate because after I finish getting the access token, I want to do the task. And then for the task, this is our query for the AnyList. And you can see that for the import had to be changed because we had to change it to the user's import. So once we pop the task, we don't really need it anymore. So we pop it, we don't really save it. So the request is mostly the same, and except for the authentication, we're not logging in, but we're just sending the query. So we have the query and the variable. So the reason why we have to send in the query and variable and not just the query is because we're going to replace it. As you can see, we don't actually replace it. We're gonna send it to the AnyList API, their server, and they're gonna want to process the replacement. We're not gonna as you can see, we didn't replace it. It's the AnyList, the server gonna be the one that's replacing it. So after they're finished, we're gonna get a callback. So as you can see from before, we're going to have the data page media and an array of JSON for ID and tile, but we don't need data page or media. We just need the array. So this is just to get the array. So we have the add to pocket over here. So since this is in JSON, we actually need to convert it. So we have to replace the ID and the tile and then replace the space with the dash. And this is used for when we gonna send to get pocket to add. So this action is actually to tell get pocket what to do, because this could be used for multiple things, but we just want to specifically add. So we're gonna push everything into this URLs, and we're gonna start the adding process. So the adding is basically the same, but we have this action which is an array of this for how many animate. Well, the array size is how many animate. And once we finish the end all, we actually don't really need this. We just need a 200 OK. And once this code end all is finished, it goes back to add to pocket, and add to pocket will finish, and it will go to back to this one, and which we'll call the done all res, which the rest is the parameter. And then this is where it's gonna take our user back to the get pocket home page. So I said before that we need to keep on passing down the res because this is how we're gonna redirect. If I didn't pass the res down here, then I won't be able to use it over here. And that's it for the code. And